Are you ready for the best damn radio show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
You know on the beat every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that thing. Why I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that that's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Starts like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're After Dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzz beaters. We coming live all through your speakers, go.
And what is going on, Man Hour Nation? It's your boy, BC Brandon Combs. This is Man Hour. Welcome to the best damn sports radio show on the planet. If you have not yet done so, please click like, share, and subscribe on whichever platform you're watching us on. If you have not done so, it's probably because we've only been live for about 1 minute and 20 seconds. But click like, share, subscribe. It helps us more than you will ever know. If you're watching us on Belly Up Sports TV, Tiki TV, Belly Up Sports, Facebook, wherever you're watching us, and you like what you see, you can head on over to youtube.com/Man Hour to subscribe for as little as $2.99 a month. Become a member of Man Hour Nation. Once you're a member, head on over to manhourradio.com, click on the merchandise tab, get yourself some hot Man Hour gear. We have hats, shirts, hoodies, joggers, phone cases, much, much more. Now that I've tried to pay the bills, let's try to bring out my main man, my dizzy, stuttering buddy. What's going on, Buck?
What is up, Man Hour Nation? What is up, Brandon Combs? What is up, people over in UK eating those tea and crumpets, right?
Your turn.
Yeah, hey, I'm not for sure if you eat the crumpets or you drink the crumpets, but either way,
whatever.
Do those crumpet things, and bada bing, bada boom. Let's go, baby. What's up, Combsy?
Not much, man. Not much. It's been a crazy day. I've been at work dealing with stuff on job sites. Had one of my crew members chop his finger with a skill saw today, so that was adventurous. But yeah, so then I see that somebody else might have chopped themselves off at the hand, and that was the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Ooh.
I don't know what's going on there, but 1 hour into free agency today. Free agent window opened at 12 p.m. Eastern. And by 1 p.m. Eastern, the Pittsburgh Steelers have signed none other than Mitch Trubisky to lead them into the future. And I don't know about you, Buck, but Mitch Trubisky leading you into the future is not something that a fan of any football team really wants to hear.
Really? Because I see my man Rule the Jungle in the stat or like in the like in the chat here, and I don't know if he's trolling or not, but he says steal of the day, get that man some money. And Combs, there was a reason why Mitchell Trubisky was a number 1 pick for the Chicago Bears. What, in 2016 or 2017, whatever year it was, I can't even remember what year it was. There was a reason why he doesn't have a losing record as a starting quarterback. There is a reason why he led your Chicago Bears to the playoffs 2 times in a row, with like a 11-4 season.
Whoa! It was twice in 4 seasons. It wasn't 2 times in a row.
It's okay. So he is a 50%
and the second
batting.
time they backed into it and they got beat up on Nickelodeon by the Saints.
If you back into a woman, are you still getting laid, or are you still just randomly falling in?
If you back into her, that's a little sus to me. I don't know.
And if you backdoor her, you're still getting some action.
Oh, Jesus.
So with that being said, Mr. Trubisky has getting a team to the playoffs 50% of the time. And yes, I know Rule of Jungle. I feel like he is trolling right now. But guys, Mr. Trubisky might be the steal of this year's free agency, to be totally 100% honest. Just because when we look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are a quarterback away. mean, Big Ben, it might be a Hall of Famer, sure, but he was definitely on his last leg. But they have a great defense. They have a good young receiving core, and with a steady, stable coaching cast staff that is willing to work with a player and evolve him, Mr. Trubisky has a lot of room to grow. He has a lot of raw talent there. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be a threat in the AFC North. They are going to be a threat in the AFC, period. The Pittsburgh Steelers with Mr. Trubisky might be the third best team in the AFC right now. No question in my mind.
All right. So, look, I'm going to preface this by saying that I don't think Mitch Trubisky is the savior in Pittsburgh. I think he's a stopgap at best. However, he's better than every guy they have on their roster at the quarterback position right now. They also there was word that the Steelers had a trade that they could have made to the San Francisco Giants to get Jimmy G, but instead they opted for Mitchell Trubisky. And look, I'm not a Mitch Trubisky hater. As much as people like to think that I am, I'm not a Mitch Trubisky hater. I think that Mitch Trubisky was in a situation where he just could not win in Chicago. And I think he was in that situation because Matt Nagy put him into that situation. And us Bears fans, we didn't know a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff until after Trubisky left and until after Matt Nagy left. And then all of a sudden we find out that Mitchell Trubisky, wanted to meet with Matt Nagy and try to figure out what was going on. He had some ideas on how to correct what was going on with the Bears offense. And Matt Nagy did not show up to that meeting and just left Mitch Trubisky hanging. And that was kind of the beginning of the end for Mitch, right? So, and then I saw what they did last year with Justin Fields. So I feel like Mitch Trubisky is one of those guys who just hasn't had an ample opportunity. And I want nothing more than to watch this guy succeed, because that, to me, would solidify the fact that Matt Nagy is the worst coach in the history of the NFL and should never get another head coaching job. So I kind of hope that Mitch Trubisky goes out and tears it up, because look, my Bears are going to be about a 7-10 win team this year. That's just what it is. They're going to be 7-10, 8-9, 9-8, somewhere in that ballpark. And that's just what they're going to be. So I need to find other storylines to root for. Tom Brady coming back. I'm a root for him to win a Super Bowl and go out on top. Mitch Trubisky getting a chance to start for the Steelers. I'm rooting for him. I want to see him do well. I want to see him succeed. I think that with Mike Tomlin and with this Pittsburgh Steelers offense, I think it's a possibility. I don't think he's a terrible quarterback. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback, though, either. And he's going to have to show me a lot in order for me to change my opinion about that.
So I've seen people like on Facebook and Twitter saying, oh, you wouldn't want to trade for Daniel Jones or Deshaun Watson or Jimmy G. You would rather take Mitchell Trubisky. Yes, I would rather take Mitchell Trubisky in all those situations because I'm getting him for free, more or less. Mr. Trubisky, yes, you're paying him like a couple $1 million, right? But I'm not giving up a first-round pick. I'm not giving up JJ or a TJ Watt. I'm not giving up Chase Claypool. I signed a free agent to my team, and I think when you have a quarterback like Daniel Jones out there, or a quarterback like Jimmy G, or a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, I like out there, that are all underneath contract still, they're going to warrant a first round, second round, a couple player pick, or some types of translation there. And Mr. Trubisky was free to pick up, so therefore that makes that pickup that much more better, because you can still build your team in this year's stacked defense and offensive line draft. Now, the offensive playmakers and the quarterbacks are pretty weak in this draft, but the wide receivers and the playmakers in this draft are pretty weak, but the offensive line and the defense line are pretty damn good. Let's just be flat out honest about that. And the Pittsburgh Steelers might lose Juju. Won't be a huge loss because they can find a a wide receiver Juju like in second or third round easily. This pickup, Combs, like I know you are like you enjoy the pick because you want Mitchell Trubisky to prove Matt Nagy wrong. I like this pick because Mitchell Trubisky had a chance to be a backup on a winning franchise for a season. What does that do to you as a player, Combs? For one, that resets your mindset when you walk into the field. Like you're like, hey, I need to prepare for this game a little bit better than what I was doing in Chicago, and it kind of erases that bad taste in your mouth. It also develops a chip on your shoulder because you said, well, damn, I was a starter for 5 years in Chicago, but now I'm a backup to this guy, and I think I'm better than this guy. That pisses you off, and I think the Pittsburgh Steelers stole Mitchell Trubisky 100%, and they're going to do well.
Yeah, you know what? I hope you're right. I still feel like Deshaun Watson would have been the best option. I think Deshaun Watson is the best option for any team that needs a quarterback.
I'm not saying that whatsoever, but the 4 first-round picks that they're asking for or a free agent.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get the price tag. I get the fact that you can build around him with those draft picks. I understand that. I feel like you have enough to win now, though, if all you did was add Deshaun Watson. But Deshaun Watson is probably headed to the NFC South, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Mitch Trubisky is one of those guys that he's talented. He can move. He's best when he's on the run. I watched it here with Chicago for 3 years. He's best when you're rolling him out of the pocket. He's not a sit, 3-step, 4-step drop type guy, and then carve up your defense. He's a move around the pocket, make plays happen type guy, and that's when he's at his best. And the Bears never did a good enough job of establishing that. But there's another quarterback who just left Pittsburgh who was also best when he was on the run, and that was Big Ben Roethlisberger.
Yep.
Big Ben was one of those guys who, as long as he was moving his feet, he was good to go. And when he would sit in the pocket, that's when he'd get himself in a little bit of trouble. So I think that this is a perfect situation for Mitchell Trubisky. I think that they're going to do right by him, and I think that they're going to give him every opportunity to succeed. He's probably going to have the reins for at least two seasons. What did they say, a 2 or 3 year deal?
I can't remember for sure. I thought it was a 2-year deal.
Okay, so for 2 years, he's going to have an opportunity to prove himself as a starter. And look, if he does well in Pittsburgh, what does Pittsburgh do best? They reward their players and they reward their coaches. They don't get rid of quarterbacks and they don't get rid of head coaches. So if Mitch Trubisky doesn't make it in Pittsburgh, this is his last opportunity. And I think he's going to shine. I really do. I think they're going to do well in Pittsburgh. And I wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah, so me too as well. I did see one Pride 40. What's up, man? What's up, Alpha Rob as well, and Rule the Jungle guys. Welcome to the chat there. I saw Hoffy in there as well. Baseball lackey himself. What a loser. But one Pride 40 says the Christian Kirk contract is like awful. Combs, let's talk about that a tad bit. So Christian Kirk was a receiver for the Arizona Cardinals, and I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars gave him about a $12 million deal, making him like a top 20, top 10 paid wide receiver there. So as the contract on the surface seems pretty bad here, but one Pride 40, let me flash back to about a month ago when all this free agency started talking, when Devontae Adams was still a player to be maybe signed free agency. Maybe he still could be because he said he doesn't want to play underneath the franchise tag, but we can talk about that later if you want. And then there's wide receivers like Chris Godwin that was still out there. So basically this wide receiver free agency pool dried up pretty quick. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are literally a playmaker or two away from being a playoff contender. They are a big name receiver from winning that AFC South. Or what? No, sorry. What division are they in? It's the NFC South. No, it's the NFC South. Yeah,
you're talking about the AFC South.
Yeah. So the Jacksonville Jaguars have a great defense. They have a quarterback that could be molded still. He is still technically Trevor Lawrence is going into his second rookie year. Let's just call a spade a spade. He did not learn nothing last year from Urban Meyer besides how to get hookers and basically get a divorce. So with that being said, with the Jacksonville Jaguars adding Christian Kirk for $11 million a season, they literally still have $45 million to sign another big-name receiver. Davante Adams could still possibly be out there because he is refusing to sign that franchise tag. Jarvis Landry is now a free agent. There are receivers out there that can be signed, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are literally a playmaker away, one pride 40. This is just the one domino that is getting ready to drop on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And if I was the Jacksonville Jaguars, I would be on the phone with Landry right now. I would be on the phone with the Green Bay Packers saying, "How can I get Davante Adams here?" And I would even be on the phone with a Golden Tate. Yes, I know Golden Tate's like 38 years old. He's on like a 17 and 5 years, but he has that veteran presence to mold Christian Kirk, to mold the possible couple rookie receivers that they're going to get as well. Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be dangerous, guys. So just watch out. This is a great signing.
Look, Buck, when it comes to you talking about teams being dangerous, I don't ever believe you because I know we got, a DR Detroit in here. We got one Pride 40 in here, but you picked the Detroit Lions every damn year to win the division, and you haven't been wrong.
2
right? Yeah. Well, they've won about 4 games in that 2-year span that you've picked them to win the division. This Christian Kirk signing for the Jacksonville Jaguars is kind of eye-popping, right? I think what they get him for 4 years, $84 million.
Yep.
It was that's like $21 million a year. Like I don't get it. I don't know why you would give Christian Kirk that type of money, other than the fact that you need to spend money. I don't know what the deal is. But look, Christian Kirk is a nice wide receiver. He's a nice piece, but he's not a number one. He's not a number one at all. And when he was at his best was about 2 years ago when they had God, his name's going to DR Detroit says this guy from Chicago acts like the Bears won something. Look, we talk all the time. You can compare it to the Bears all you want. I know the Bears are trash. I admit that the Bears are trash. It's been a trash organization for a long time. I hope that they're on the right track now. Hopefully, we'll see. I hope your Detroit Lions get on the right track. I really do. But the truth is, they've just been awful. And the Bears won as many games this year as the Lions have in the last 3 seasons. So they have won something lately. More games than Detroit. Anyway, so getting back to Christian Kirk, I don't think that Christian Kirk is a number one guy. I mean, a couple years back, he was really good, but he was the number 3 there. He wasn't he wasn't that guy. And when they went ahead and traded Hopkins, he still didn't become that guy. So for me, I just don't understand it. I just don't get it. But hey, you had to do something. You had to spend money to get a free agent to come there. I mean, you're going to have to overpay for free agents if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, because that's the only way you're going to convince guys to come play for you.
Christian Kirk has been behind arguably the best receiver in our generation, Combs, and Larry Fitzgerald. He sat last year behind D-Hop. Yes, he wasn't a number one receiver on those teams because he was behind top 5 receivers of like all time. Christian Kirk is going to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he is going to get 100 reception, 1,500 yards. He has done nothing but improve since his rookie year back in 2018.
Buck, first of all, they created DeAndre Hopkins after the 2019 season, so this is the second year DeAndre Hopkins has not been with the Cardinals. You've got, who am I thinking? Not DeAndre Hopkins. They have DeAndre Hopkins. They had who the hell else was it before DeAndre Hopkins?
Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, but Larry Fitzgerald was never. He was about 95 years old in 2020.
Are you telling me that Larry Fitzgerald was not the best receiver in
He was
Arizona
about
Cardinal
90.
history?
He was about 95 years old in 2020. I'm not saying he's not the best wide receiver in Cardinals
You're right,
history.
but he was still behind DeAndre Hopkins in 2020.
Okay.
He was their number 4 option because they had what they had freaking AJ Green. They had that white boy that like everybody has, like loves, and then they had D Hop and Larry Fitzgerald.
Right, but Christian Kirk has gone up and down his entire career. He had 43 catches in 2018, 68 in 2019, 48 in 2020, 77 in 2021. So he'll probably have about 49 or 50 catches in 2022.
He was a number 3 receiver. Of course, he's only going to get targeted 50 times.
First of all, DeAndre Hopkins was out for like 5 weeks of this season. And when they were out, they had no offense because they had nobody that could catch the damn ball.
They had nobody that could throw
And that
the
included
ball.
Christian Kirk. I'm not saying the guy's a terrible wide receiver. What I'm saying is he's not a number 1. And to get a guy like Christian Kirk or to get any wide receiver to come play for you in Jacksonville, you're going to have to overpay, right? It's like my line of work. If I don't want to do a job, if I think that, a job is going to suck, if I don't want to, put this wall up, or if I don't want to do this tile flooring, I'm going to price it through the roof. And if you still hire me, then it's worth it. And it's the same thing Christian Kirk did. He said, look, I'll come play for you guys, but this is my price tag. They're like, okay. He's like, oh, cool. That's what happened. He priced himself through the roof and he caught a fish. And so
he didn't price himself. The Jacksonville Jaguars like, hey, we'll give you 80, like 84 million. And then he looks over at his like at his agent. They give the eye that they get the, hey, maybe we can get some more. Like, well, what are you guys really thinking? How about a 4-year, $84 million? Yeah.
Let's be real. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Christian Kirk went to him and said, look, I'll play for you guys for 4 years and $25 million. And they said, no, we'll give you 4 years, 84. That's how that negotiation went because they're the Jacksonville Jaguars.
So let me ask you the real question here. I'm going to read between the lines here a lot, but Christian Kirk is out of Arizona. Kyler Murray wants out, and then James Conner just signs the biggest running back contract ever. What is really going on in Arizona? I think they're putting their money in the wrong places when they could trade Kyler for Jimmy G. That would be a big improvement. And then you could sign, your other players like Christian Kirk and keep him on the field there. Running back like James Conner are a diamond, and let's just be flat out honest about that. And to pay him and not pay a receiver like Christian Kirk, that's kind of been a staple of your team for the last 5 years. Kyler Murray wants out. What's really going on in Arizona? That's what I want to know.
To say that Jimmy G would be a huge improvement over Kyler Murray is a false statement. Would he be a more mature improvement over Kyler Murray? Sure. Because Kyler Murray's got some immaturity issues.
Arizona Cardinals did the Super Bowl with Jimmy G last year.
But talent-wise and what he does on a football field, Kyler Murray is above Jimmy G in that aspect.
On an 8-foot ladder.
Stop it. Stupid.
Combs, you're taller than Kyler Murray, and what you guys don't know is Combs is standing on a stool right now just to get in the camera view.
2 stools. We're going to go ahead and take our first break. I'm going to kill Buck backstage, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Tom Brady coming back, see what Buck thinks about that. Let's find out who Buck picked. And Buck, before we go to break, did you do your bracket yet?
I have not done my bracket yet, so I slept all day. We are doing the family bracket first thing tomorrow night about 6 o'clock, but I can tell you I do like Kentucky.
I do too. I picked Kentucky's my winner.
And I also like UCLA as like kind of like a dark horse runner type thing.
Yeah, I like a couple of I like Davidson a lot. They're a 10 seed. I really like what they're bringing to the table, but I don't know. I have Kentucky winning my bracket. I haven't beaten Auburn in the championship game.
Yeah, but if you really want me to be honest and kind of make myself puke, the Kansas Jayhawks do look pretty good too. Just
oh God,
there.
All right, we're gonna go to break. We'll be right back.
FKU.
Hey gang, it's Commissioner Cooper from TSS Fantasy. We are the fantasy show of the people. That means we give the people what they want. Expert fantasy advice, leading medical and legal analysis, free contests, and innovative games to keep you entertained. Watch us live with the Tiki Live app on the Belly Up Sports channel, subscribe to us on YouTube, or follow us on all social media platforms. Visit TSSFantasy.com today for all the latest updates from the fantasy show of the people. We put the fun in fantasy.
Yeah!
Instead of the mayo.
Over sour cream, yeah.
Right. That's because you have high cholesterol. Okay.
If you drafted Julio Jones,
You got ghosted.
This is amazing. TSS Fantasy is like an orgasm. If I had a cigarette, I'd smoke it. I'm pumped to be here. This is the show of shows.
TSS Fantasy, the fantasy show of the people.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain, I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints, money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague, we all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name, all our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be, living in a time where disease is on every screen, I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering, negativity is a plague for the mentally weak, no mercy, all I got is working, never stop searching, never quench the thirsty, I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic, you can't stop it, it's been chronic, since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic, go! To last with the webs I'm weaving, I could change the past with all I'm achieving, got my foot on gas, never stop competing, if you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em.
All right, we are back. Better than ever, as always. Some sad news during break. I saw it come up on my phone, and then I did see the comment from Alpha Rob. For those of you who have watched wrestling throughout the years, WWE, WCW, you know this name very well. It is Scott Hall, better known as WWE years as Razor Ramon. He was part of the NWO. Scott Hall has just passed away. I do know that he had some complication from surgery, had a couple of heart attacks while he was under the knife, and he just passed away within the last hour. So that's I don't know if you know him, Buck, but he was one of my favorites to watch growing up. I remember him as Razor Ramon, always had the toothpick in his mouth, calling himself the bad guy, machismo, and I loved his character, especially when he became part of the NWO. I know he's battled his demons with drugs and alcohol, but sad news for the wrestling world.
Yeah, I saw a tweet earlier today that Kevin Nash tweeted out that said that him, the Scott Hall, his family will be taken off of life support. So I kind of assumed it was just a kind of a matter of time. But yeah, Kevin Hall is it Kevin Hall or Kevin Nash? So yeah, it was
Scott Hall, Kevin Nash.
Yeah, they were a very, very good duo to watch, and he was actually in some movie that many people fail to like remember, but I remember because he was just like himself. Like I don't really remember the name of it, but he was just like, you know what, F you guys, I'm gonna do me and suck it, right? Like what's that, his little trademark thing, the two hands across the waist and say suck it.
yeah well that was DX, but they were all a part of that Wolf Pack, that whole thing. Him, Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, they were all really close friends. And
that was back when I watched wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, that was back when wrestling was wrestling. Nowadays, like my son's into it, Brandon Jr. is into it, so I watch here from time to time, but I'm certainly not as into it as I used to be.
I tried to watch it last Friday when I think Pat McAfee does the announcing, like on Friday Night SmackDown or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh my dude, it was so bad.
It is. And then what's in Big E last Friday night got suplexed and broke his neck because he landed on the top of his head. It's just, I mean, look, for all the people that talk about, you know, how fake it is, which, I mean, look, it is. I mean, obviously it's entertainment. It's basically a soap opera for men, but it's still very real. There's a lot of athleticism that goes into it. There's a lot of practice that goes into it. And these guys, these women, they go out and they put on a show, and sometimes shit goes wrong. And but I do know that Scott Hall is just one of those guys. He's a Hall of Famer, and you know, sad news across the wrestling world.
Yeah, definitely.
So, speaking of sad news for the NFC South, Tom Brady shocked the world last night and came out of retirement. Now, we gave our thoughts on it last night. We opened up the show with it. It broke just before we got on the show. And that's not the part I want to talk about. The part I want to talk about is his interview this morning. Have you heard any of it, Buck?
I have not.
So he was asked this morning about his thoughts on why he decided to come back. And if he wasn't getting a divorce before the interview, he might be getting one now. Because this man proceeded to say, I said when I retired that I really wanted to take some time and spend it with my family. And I've done that for about 5 weeks now. And now I want to get back to playing golf and getting back with my teammates. So it took him 5 weeks of being home. Now, this man is married to a supermodel, by the way.
Ex-supermodel.
Took him 5 weeks of being home with the wife and kids to be like, nah, I need to go back to work. Look, I don't know. Maybe he stopped by a gas pump, saw how big the gas prices are. Needed to get back and make some more money. But this guy, with his comments, man, that's something.
Yeah. So what? He's going into his 23rd year. Yeah. So what? I think he'll be 44 this year. Is that right, Combs?
Yeah.
So he has literally spent over half of his life preparing for football in some aspect of it, whether it be doing junior high summer passing stuff or weights in the summer or his acupuncture stuff that he does like in the NFL. So in theory, he has been preparing to play football at a very high level for about 32, 33 years. So it is very hard to take that mindset away from anybody whatsoever. And I've said it many, many times. When people retire from the game of football, it is not because they're physically unable to play the game. It is because they are mentally unable to play the game. They are mentally don't want to put in the hours to prepare for a game. They don't want to mentally, spend 12 hours watching film. They don't want to mentally do this, do that, and do this. And clearly, Tom Brady's mental aspect is still there, because even at 44 years old, spending time with the wife and the kids and all that stuff, like it all sounds great, but at the end of the day, you're like, man, I'm ready to get back to all this. I mean, think about this: when we took our Christmas break for 2 weeks, and it was great being able to get a full 8 hours of sleep. It was great being able to, go out inside and play and have snowball fights. But deep down, like, man, I kind of miss talking to like Holmes, like I miss sitting here BSing for two and a half hours, and I can't wait to get back. So it just, maybe he needed that mental getaway process for 5 weeks and to really realize that he missed the game.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm not even sure if it's that. This guy can still play at a very high level. He can still play in the NFL at a very high level, and he proved it last year. Last year was the best year he's ever had as a quarterback in the NFL, and he was 43 years old. And he's been to 10 Super Bowls. but never in a season has he ever completed 67% of his passes while throwing for 5,300 yards and 43 touchdowns. He had never had a season like he had last year in his entire 22-year career. The most amazing career we've ever seen. So he clearly can still play this game at a high level. He is already 44. He'll be 45 when they start the season.
I mean, he did say he wanted to play until he was 45.
He's a freak, dude. This guy could play until he's 50, and he could play at a Pro Bowl level until he's 50. I'm convinced. Maybe even 60. This guy gets younger with age. He gets better with age. I don't understand it. He's not human, but I'm happy to see him back. I'm happy to see him back. I am. I love Tom Brady. I love watching that guy compete. It's amazing to me. We're never going to see anything like this again, Buck. In our lifetime,
we're seeing it in Green Bay right now.
We're not seeing it in Green Bay right now. How many Super Bowls has Aaron Rodgers been to?
I believe he's just been to one, maybe two.
Yeah, that's only he's been to one. That's 9 less than Tom Brady has been to. We're not seeing what we're seeing out of Tom Brady in Green Bay. So stop that right there. We're not seeing that. We are not seeing anybody play at the caliber level that Tom Brady has played throughout his entire career and is still playing at the age of 45. So, yes, I would love to see it for another season. You know who doesn't want to see it for another season, Buck?
The guy who bought the last touchdown pass for $1,800,000.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dude, how bad of a day do you have on Saturday? You're like, you know what? I just won the bid on this Tom Brady final touchdown pass of his career. I just spent $500,000. Then on Sunday night, Tom Brady's like, psych. That's a bad day.
That's the ultimate smack in the face, because now that baseball or that football is pretty much useless now. He literally just took a suitcase full of money and threw it in the fire. Let's just be flat out honest about that.
Unless Tom Brady has a career-ending injury in preseason, he does not have the last touchdown ball.
If Tom Brady has let's say he tears his ACL in preseason,
come on,
that would fire him up that much more to come back and perform better the next year, and you will see him to 40.
Yeah, he'll come back on crutches and he'll throw for 75 touchdowns, 8,000 yards. Dude, the guy is not human.
So here's the real question here: do you think Tom Brady never really had the mindset of retiring? He was just putting that out there to see what the Bucs would do in free agency to bring back Chris Godwin, to sign Leonard Fournette. Maybe he was just seeing what they would do with the pieces around him, bring back that core, and then he's like, hey, let's run it back one more time.
So I think that, and I was thinking about this today, and my feeling is that Tom Brady played the card of, I'm going to retire because I no longer want to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, don't give me that.
He thought he was going to force the Tampa Bay Buccaneers into allowing him to play in San Francisco by trading away his rights because he was going to retire. And the Bucs were like, we'll call your bluff. You want to retire? Fine, but we're not trading your rights. If you're going to play quarterback, you're going to play quarterback for us. And Tom Brady was like, all right, well, I guess I'm back then. Because he does not want to retire. This guy wants to play football. He's got it in him. And like I said, he still plays at the highest level of any quarterback. He was the best quarterback in the NFL this year.
Yeah, so I was writing out my top 10 quarterback list going into the 2020-22 season, and obviously, I left Tom Brady off of the list.
Yeah,
but
me too.
This instantly shakes up my list, and that instantly puts him at number 3, I think, if not number 2, going into 2022. Yes, at number 1, I have Lamar Jackson.
I will rip your throat out.
Okay, we will talk about this in April when we talk top 10.
Who do you have that is above Tom Brady.
Well, guys, what we do here in the biz is what it calls a tease. So here on April 11th, tune in to Man Hour, and I'll let you know. So Alpha Rob says, Brady's seen how easy the NFC is, and that's why he wants to come back. I take that as a very false statement because I think the NFC is very top-heavy, but those top teams are very, very good. Look at the Rams. Look at the Packers. You can even throw the Arizona Cardinals in there a lot as well. And if Deshaun Watson goes to the New Orleans Saints, like many people are speculating right now, that puts them back in that conversation, right? So I don't think the NFC is easy to get to the Super Bowl.
It's a lot easier than the AFC is.
It is easier to make it to the playoffs, yes, but to win those playoffs is a lot harder because all those teams are top heavy and they're.
The Packers lose every year. Aaron Rodgers loses in the playoffs every single year. That's what he does. And I think what happened was Tom Brady saw Aaron Rodgers become the highest paid quarterback in the history of the NFL, and he said, "Hold my beer," because he knows that Aaron Rodgers isn't better than him. He knows Aaron Rodgers can't beat him. There's not another team, another quarterback in the NFC that you would pick to beat Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Let's just face it. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are going to be your favorite to go to the Super Bowl next year. And if they're not, then you're crazy.
They are definitely in the conversation 100% in the NFC side of the things. The only thing that could possibly be holding them back is if the LA Rams sign another receiver to replace Odell Beckham Jr. for the 2021-22 year.
And the only thing that puts them there is the fact that Tom Brady's back. Before that, we were talking about whether or not they'd win 6 games.
Really? I mean, they were talking about bringing in Deshaun Watson to the Bucs. I think still that would put them in the Super Bowl conversation. I mean, we still saw Jimmy G out there. We saw Daniel Jones and Teddy Bridgewater was still out there as well. I think if any 3 of those quarterbacks would have went there, they would have been at least a playoff team.
No.
So
I don't know, because if any of those guys go there, what's going to happen now is that there's a lot of guys who are going to leave via free agency. Chris Godwin, who might not leave now.
Well, he signed a franchise tag, so he's not going anywhere.
Gronk coming back, he did not sign the franchise tag. They did not franchise tag Chris Godwin.
I could have swore they did. That's why he was off the record.
No, he's a free agent. But I don't know that any of those guys go, because Gronk's not coming back if it's not Tom Brady. You know, Chris Godwin's not coming back if it's not Tom Brady. And now you've got the chance to go out there. I mean, hell, let's look at the free agent wide receivers that you have out there. If you're Allen Robinson, where else would you rather go right now after suffering with the Bears for 4 years? Where else would you rather go other than to play with Tom Brady as your quarterback?
Well, first of all, there's no open spots in Tampa Bay because, like I said, Chris Godwin was franchise tag. He is scheduled to make $18.5 million this season. This season, if you want to talk about your boy Allen Robinson, he's going to Cleveland to play with Amari Cooper and Baker Mayfield, and that seems very dangerous.
Ooh. I don't think I'll ever say again that the Browns look like they could be a dangerous team, because they fool me every damn year.
Yeah.
Every damn year, I'm like, you know what? The Browns look really, really good on paper. They could be that team this year. And then they pull a Cleveland Browns and they pull a Baker Mayfield and they disappoint the shit out of you. That's just what they do. They're a disappointing damn franchise or a disappointing team, and Baker Mayfield's a disappointing quarterback.
Like I said in the sports trash talk group, Holmes, do not sleep on a quarterback on a contract, or a player period on a contract proving year. Baker Mayfield is going to come out and light the AFC up 100%. Like, don't get that twisted at at all here. But to veer the conversation back over to the LA Rams, wouldn't this be something, Combs? The Rams are kind of looking for a receiver. Odell Beckham Jr. is coming off a ACL injury. The Cleveland Browns just cut their boy Landry, And what if Jarvis Landry landed up in Cleveland or in LA again with Odell Beckham Jr. and then they're like, hey, let's run it back.
Yeah. I don't see that happening, but that would be something interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would definitely would pique my interest because the Rams had two receivers go down with ACLs that like last year, Robert Woods and Odell Beckham Jr. Let's say it is a 10-month repair. He won't even be ready to play till probably September, November, December timeframe, anyways. So they're going to need a receiver to replace him in that interim there. So I don't think it's as far fetched as people think.
Well, the tear happened in February, so then you're looking at playoff time before he's ready to come back.
Well, we've seen players now come back from about 10 months, like 9 to 10 months seems to be like the
right,
rehab.
but 10 months, I mean, it happened in February. That's month number 2. 10 months from then is December.
Oh, true. Yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah, I was
thinking. So,
I
mean, maybe week 16, 17.
Yeah.
God, the Rams are one of those. I want to see what they do this offseason. I wonder if they rest on the laurels, if they're happy with just winning that one Super Bowl, and now they kind of they don't go out and spend money. I hate
their window is literally 3 more years to win as many Super Bowl as they can. Because after that, Matthew Stafford is going to retire. Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be gone. Cooper Kupp might still be out there, but he won't be the Cooper Kupp that he is now. Oh, and by the way, they don't have a first round pick till like 2030 or something.
Yeah. And then, you're watching the team on the other side of town in the Chargers go out and retool, make trades to bring on Khalil Mack to play on the other side of Joey Bosa and start signing people. The Chargers are looking good.
Yeah.
You've got that whole NFC West minus the Seattle Seahawks looks really good unless the Seattle Seahawks land Deshaun Watson, excuse me.
I still think it's a possibility.
I do too. I think it's a possibility. I think that they're a possibility. I think that the 3 teams in the NFC South are a possibility. It'd be really interesting to see the Falcons get into play for Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson instantly makes the Atlanta Falcons a playoff team again.
Well, speaking of the Falcons, like I follow some Falcons insider people, and they said that the Falcons are in high talks with some teams to trade Matt Ryan. Isn't Matt Ryan like 37 years old, making like a who is going to trade for a quarterback
the Houston Texans? You trade for Matt Ryan and you let Davis Mills learn from Matt Ryan, a veteran. You bring Matt Ryan in, maybe you let him compete for a starting job. Maybe you bring him in and you tell him, hey, look, you're the backup, or we have you here for one reason. We brought you in on this trade because we want you to bring the kid up to speed. I mean, the Houston Texans, it makes a ton of sense for them to trade for a guy like Matt Ryan.
Yeah, but if you look at it on the surface here, Deshaun Watson does have a no-trade clause in his contract, and I believe the Atlanta Falcons are more screwed up than the
Why wouldn't he want to go to Atlanta? No, Atlanta tries to win. What do you mean? Atlanta tries to win. I mean, I know Calvin Ridley's gone for a year because he likes to gamble, but
yeah,
the
only offensive weapon they have is Kyle Pitts.
That's a big offensive weapon.
Can you win with one offensive
if they go out and get Deshaun Watson, they're not going to stop there. They're going to go out and get some other guys.
You have to. You literally can't afford anybody else.
Right. So
the Falcons are already over the cap.
Are they? I don't think they are.
Yeah,
there's no way. They don't have anybody. Who the hell are they paying?
That is why they're paying Matt Ryan $100 million to be sucky. But I don't know who they're paying, but somehow they're like $30 to $40 million over the cap, and they literally had to restructure Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley's contract because if you flash back to this time last year, who was their big receiver that they let go or they traded? Oh, what is his name? Slipped my mind. Not Calvin Ridley. It was the other big name receiver there. But they literally could not afford to pay him, so they had to cut him more or less because they couldn't afford to pay him.
They are $40 million under the cap.
Maybe now.
The cap is $250. They're at $215.
Okay, so when you bring on a player like Deshaun Watson, there goes your cap.
Why?
Deshaun Watson making like $40 million a season.
No, he's not. Stop it.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. We were just balking at because freaking Aaron Rodgers got $50 million this season, the highest paid player in history. He's not getting paid more than your
Deshaun
guy
Watson's
out there in Kansas City is.
$156 million contract.
4 years, $156 million.
156. Yep.
So that's
$40 million a year.
Yeah. Damn. I didn't realize it was that high.
Yeah.
Just under 40, but yeah, that's still pretty damn high.
Now, when they do trade him, I believe the Texans have to take on some type of contract or something to that effect. Like I don't know exactly how all that works.
So the first year they have to cover the dead cap of the first year. Same thing the Bears just went through with Khalil Mack. They're paying $20 million of his $83 million left, and the Chargers took the rest of the $63 million, which cleared up $121 million for them for next season.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like there's a lot of teams out there that I think are there. I don't know everybody's salary cap situation. There's a lot of teams where it makes sense. Carolina makes sense. New Orleans makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to that team and you compete against Tom Brady, and the Saints are notorious as a team that Tom Brady struggles against.
Yeah, for whatever reason, he's 0-6 against the Saints all time in the regular season or something.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Julio Jones was the receiver I'm thinking of, by the way.
But Deshaun Watson doesn't. So he goes in the court on Friday, and he didn't have any. The grand jury says, there's not enough to convict. There will be no criminal charges pressed against Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson is now one of those guys who's become coveted. However, there's speculation out there that he could still be suspended. Do you think he gets suspended this year?
So the NFL is notorious for overreacting to people to get kind of suspending them before stuff comes out, and then they're also notorious for overreacting for people that kill somebody and have them in the back of their trunk and they're playing like the next week. So it would not surprise me 100% at all if he was suspended for the first 4 games of the season for content detrimental to the league, or however they word that crap. However, it also depends on where Deshaun Watson goes. If he were to go to a team like let's say he stays in Houston for whatever reason, let's just throw a dog a bone. He will not get suspended 100% just because the Houston Texans are so bad. And I almost want to say that, that's time served. He's in Houston and he didn't play all last year as well. But if he were to go to a team like the New York Jets or the New York Giants or the Patriots or something, to like a team that is like historically kind of playing in that gray area a little bit, I could see him getting suspended for 4 games. So it all kind of let me waffle around the answer completely here. It all depends where he goes. If he goes to the Patriots or the Giants or the Jets or in another team that likes to bend the rules a lot, he will get suspended for four games. If he goes to Cleveland, I don't think he does.
I think he gets suspended, but that's just kind of the way the NFL handles it, like you said. I mean, they did it with Ben Roethlisberger. I think it was the second time, though, for Ben Roethlisberger, not the first time. And here's my problem with it this time, okay? I'm not saying that 28 women who came forward are lying about what they're saying is happening. But what I'm saying is that it's very suspect that a guy who wants out of a city, a guy who wants out of a team, and a guy who is telling everybody how bad the organization is run, all of a sudden has friends of the owner accusing him of stuff.
Well,
and I
let
think
me play
you have
devil's
to
advocate
look
here.
at that. Well, I think you have to look at that. I think you have to take that into consideration because nothing of this was ever even thought about with Deshaun Watson. Nobody had ever claimed anything about him. Nobody had ever thought about anything about him. And then all of a sudden, these women come out, but there's no criminal charges pressed against him. If there was something there would be criminal charges. And he's maintained from the get-go that he is innocent.
Right.
And he is still maintaining that he's innocent. And the grand jury just tells you that there's no evidence to convict him. So there's no criminal charges. That says a lot to me.
So let me play devil's advocate here because I've been watching a lot of Breaking Bad again and Calling Sal and like
So you're
and like
an
all that
expert,
stuff.
right?
Yeah, so I'm definitely an expert and I do watch a lot of Criminal Minds and Murder She Wrote. So when somebody gets a large amount of money. Deshaun Watson signed a 4-year, $156 million extension. At that time, it was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And then not even six months later, he wants out of town. It kind of sounds like to me he may have been running from something a little bit here. Hey, I got all this money now, and I've been harassing these women for the last 4 or 5 years while I'm in Houston. They know I got money now, and I can't pay them all off, so I might want to get out of town before shit hits the fan.
Buck. They traded all of his weapons, left him there to die.
They trade DeAndre Hopkins because he was hit on the owner's daughter.
They traded DeAndre Hopkins. They traded another wide. They traded Landry. They traded Will Fuller. They let everybody go on Deshaun Watson, and then he went out and had a Pro Bowl year on a 3-win team. He wanted out because he knew that the writing was on the wall. They were a terrible organization. They weren't going to. He didn't want to be a part of a rebuild. He wants to go somewhere where he can win and prove how good he is. It had nothing to do with trying to run from anything. Everybody saw the writing on the wall.
I see the writing on the wall. Hey, I'm $100 million man now. I asked this girl for a happy ending when she was rubbing my legs, and she said, "Well, maybe." And then I may have blew it in her ear and gave her some pink eye.
Well, let me ask you a question. How many games was Robert Kraft suspended for?
I don't think he was suspended at all. But
just saying,
how can you suspend an owner? Oh, you can't go sit in your luxury box and watch the game. Like
you could do all sorts of things to the owner.
You can find them and take the first
picks. You could take
I believe they did take a draft pick away.
But
the Patriots historically get a draft pick every year away.
Deshaun Watson has lost a full season of his career, and now you're going to try to take more games. You're going to try to take away more games away from him?
Yeah.
No. If they suspend Deshaun Watson without any criminal charges, without anything being substantiated, to me, that's... for one, the NFL shouldn't be doing that anyway. If there's no criminal charges, there's no criminal charges. The guy didn't do anything wrong. A grand jury told you he didn't do anything wrong.
But he made my league look bad.
How did he make his league look bad? He didn't do anything. He was just being accused of doing something.
Yeah.
So
how about this?
So if you go to work, tonight, right? And you just go to work, you go sit in your cubicle, you type you're on your computer, you do all the stuff you got to do for all your techie stuff that I don't understand, and you come home from work and you go to bed. You wake up in the morning and your wife is like, "Hey, so Kathy from your work called. She said that you groped her." And you're like, "What are you talking about? I went to work, I came home, I went to bed. I didn't do anything."
Yeah.
And then your wife is like, "You know what, Mike? We need to get a divorce. We need to get a divorce because
come here, Kathy.
Even though you're telling me you didn't do anything wrong, there's still got to be some sort of punishment for you. Like that's just not. It's not fair. It's not right."
Well, Combs, have you heard the old adequate where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Now, I'm not saying he did it 28 times because he's a professional athlete. He can probably just go to a club, literally drop his pants and bada bing, bada boom, happy ending, right? But with that being said, let me flash back to the Baylor defensive end here. This kid had like 27 abs, right? Do you know the guy I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like number 9.
I can't think of his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Literally a brick shit house. When you look up steroid using man, this guy pops up because he had legs coming out of his shoulders. Like his knees had abs. But I digress. This kid. This kid was accused of rape. A white woman accused him of sexually assaulting her because basically what happened, a black man had sex with a white woman and their parents disapproved of the situation, basically what it come down to.
Yep.
This kid's career literally got ended by a accusement, right?
Yeah.
By nothing
and
that
then
ever
it came out
happened
that
whatsoever.
It was false.
Exactly. So can we flash back and like, oh, we didn't draft you because you had a rape charge or you like you had a rape allegation on you. Let me flash back 3 years and draft you again. No, like, I mean, it made him look bad because he was accused of it. Deshaun Watson was accused of this stuff. Therefore, it looks bad on my league. You have to pay a price because it looks bad on my league.
That's terrible.
Because that's a
terrible idea.
The facts are facts because my man Luke G, what up though, right? He says that, I forget how he really says it, but basically, if you and Luke were talking last week, and Luke said you literally have the money to have a bar in your house. Why do you even go out and put yourself in those situations? Well, Deshaun Watson, kid from Baylor, you're getting ready to get drafted in the NFL. You know you are $100 million now. Why are you putting yourself in those situations? If you need a massage, why are you getting them from 29 different girls? Just have one. Pay her well. Hey, you are my masseuse.
How do you know that all those women aren't getting paid or aren't being, said, hey, if you get in on this, you can make this much money, or if you get it, you don't know that is not the case, right? Am I correct?
But you are correct. But there are several red flags for me in the situation. Now, once again, guys, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I don't think Deshaun Watson did anything wrong, but there are red flags in this situation, Combs. Over a year and a half span, he had 28 different girls rubbing his body down.
Are you jealous?
Well, kind of, but in the end, if I find a sushi place that I like, I'm going to go to that sushi place over and over and over until they give me food poisoning, right? So why do I want to try different sushi places when I know I like this place, right? And then the other side, sign $100 million later, 6 months later, he wants out of town all of a sudden. Red flag number 2. Red flag number 3 is Jesse Smollett. I am not suicidal. I am not suicidal. The whole time we heard Deshaun Watson say, I'm innocent, I'm innocent, I'm innocent. I hate to call a spade, and I hate to be this guy. I mean, everything's been written off in court, but the writing's kind of on the wall. Something had to happen.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, maybe something did happen. So let me ask you this. If you're a team, would you sign Deshaun Watson right now?
In a heartbeat. Everything that I said, throw it out the window because we know the NFL is a prove it league. And if you are a player, I don't care if you raped your mom. I don't care if you stole money from your grandma. If you can put a ring on my finger, come on, baby. Let's do it.
I don't even know what to say to that. Anyway, we are out of time. Buck's got to get to work.
Wait.
What?
I don't got to get to work. I don't got to fuck work. Alpha Rob says, how does Teddy Bridgewater keep getting signed? Because he's a good player. He's just a cancer in the locker room.
A lot of people say he's a good clubhouse guy. A lot of people say he's good in the locker room. I don't know. It's hard because every time he gets to a team, they wait a year and then they lose him.
Yeah. So, he's on his 4th team in 4 years now, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, he got the short end of the stick in Minnesota after he literally a grenade went off in his leg, and then they brought in Kirk Cousins, and
Yeah.
that was the Murder, She Wrote.
And then Alfred Robson's Murder, She Wrote is an underrated show. Is Murder, She Wrote an underrated show, Buck? It doesn't matter, Buck. We are out of time. You got to get to work. You get the mute button. Man Hour Nation, rise up.